just walked in. There's Jake.
Hey everyone, my name is Jake. Welcome to the show. I am a former Jehovah's Witness, current F-list YouTuber. Wait a minute, recently upgraded to the D-list. Thank you for joining us. This is, of course, live, and this is a special show because it probably won't stay up publicly listed on the channel for reasons that we'll get into. I do a live show every Sunday, usually somewhat structured, although messy. But this is, it's been a crazy couple of weeks for me personally. And the big thing to talk about is the new JW Broadcasting episode. And the new JW Broadcasting episode is one of the cultier ones that they've done. And I'm doing a filmed film. This is film. I'm doing like a scripted rebuttal to it, video essay style. Although that's, I don't know, it seems like abuse of the word essay. What this video is. So that will hopefully release tomorrow. I'm just gonna stream for probably an hour, hour and a half, and then I'm gonna work the rest of the day to finish this video. And yeah, I'm so sorry. Of course, we have to address the elephant in the room. And by elephant, I mean caterpillar on my face. I do have a mustache. It's really not, it was not planned. You might wonder, how can a mustache happen on accident? Well, I'll tell you all about it. I like that style where you're like the mustache hair is a little thicker than the rest of the beard hair. Wanted to try that out. I botched it. Totally botched it. So now I just have a mustache. I'm gonna let the rest of this grow in. But you know what? I'm seeing compliments for the mustache, which I very much appreciate, and really the best compliment a person can receive, which is $10. Thank you, Sexy Mustaches February. Let's go. Thank you, David Rose. I really appreciate. Okay, I look like Harvey from. I assume you mean Stardew Valley, which I've actually not played. Christina's played it. I wear I have a kind of a newsy cap, I guess you call it. So I wore it. It was cold the other day. I was all bundled up, and I realized, like, ah, shit, I look like Mario. I had a paperboy hat and a mustache. Oh, but see, then there's people. There's your culty talks out there. Call it a porn stash. And you know what? Here's what I'll say. I haven't seen mustache in porn in a while. Let's not investigate that too much. Okay. Thank you for the kind words. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, I hit 15,000 subscribers, which is a cool personal milestone. And I put the call out to have some questions, some cues that can be aimed. So I have some questions to answer. And I want to talk about just some personal, like, trauma dumping stuff, you know? So this month's broadcast, the aforementioned culty broadcast, is all about return to Jehovah, that famous JW phrase. And the week that the broadcast released, so this past week, I had to deal with my parents who shunned me, who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and it's kind of informed my perspective on the broadcast. And I don't know, it's been a little bit of a bummer, so I figured I'd get into that too. But yeah, we usually have some semblance of a structure. Not today, baby. I've got some things to talk about. But mostly we're just going to be kind of chilling. I hope that's okay. Instead of just important video essay. That actually would be a really good video essay. All right. Harvey from Stardew Valley. Let's look him up. Harvey Stardew Valley. Damn it. It does look like me. Shit. All right. Okay. There is absolutely a resemblance. I'm not beating the Harvey from Stardew Valley allegations. And the other person that people are saying, many people are saying, very fine people on all sides are saying this. So I look like the dad from Inside Out, which, to be honest, is kind of what I want. I do want the stubble and the mustache situation, although I want it to get a little thicker than that. You know what I mean? I don't even know what I mean. So, hey, here's the problem with this, Clyde Bell, and I do appreciate the super chat, but somebody donated more money than you that endorsed the mustache. So far, the mustache money is speaking a little louder. Yeah, it's cosplay. That's exactly what it is. It's sort of, it is kind of gingery. My facial hair is kind of reddish for whatever reason. My dad's is the same way too. And speaking of my dad, issues that I have, I guess let's talk about trauma. Okay, where should I start with this? I'll start with my personal shunning story this week. By the way, if you want a really cathartic discussion about this, check out the XJW Live channel. I don't know if they always stream on Saturdays. They always tend to stream when I'm pulling up my computer to look up clips for a video I'm working on, and then I start procrastinating watching their videos. And their guest was a Mr. Ron Pomo. Seems like divine intervention that he showed up at this exact moment in time. Check out their conversation. They have a very, I thought, cathartic and just good. They're good at talking. They're good at talking to each other, and I really enjoyed it. So my parents, they don't talk to me really. I'm disfellowshipped. I was disfellowshipped for apostasy. And so sometimes if there's a family emergency, like if my aunt dies, my dad will call me and let me know. Or if there's a family member that's, I don't know, sick or in the hospital or something. Or mostly if there's something to do with student loans. My student loans are in my mom's name because she took them out when I went to college, but I'm repaying them. So she'll forward me student loan info, and we've had some financial troubles, with debt and all this shit. And so my dad contacted me. I had asked him for help a couple months ago. He contacted me, said, let's meet in person to talk about, because we want to help. Let's meet in person. And I don't know how he did it, but he convinced me to go over there. He convinced me to go over to their house. And, to be honest, I was really, really dreading it. I have anxiety anyway. I am shunning the loan, quite frankly. And that's the thing. I don't know what they think of me. I guess I have a little bit better of an idea now, but I had the same reaction when people got this fellowship for apostasy. I just assumed that they went insane, that they were taken hostage by some demon or lost their minds. I think that the vision I had in my head is if you encounter apostate material, it sort of infects you somehow and starts deteriorating your brain and taking over you. Stay tuned for my horror novel coming out this October, maybe, if I stay on track. So to back up a little bit, the money thing, I had asked my dad just for help on this payment. We needed a little bit of help with a loan payment, and I hadn't so I just had my birthday a couple weeks ago. My birthday was January 22nd. It was a very bad birthday. Not the day itself necessarily, but just the birthday week was not good. We kind of had a falling out with our really good friends that we had last year. So things are kind of awkward there. So I didn't have a party with my friends like I did last year. But we're also just we're we're really busy and kind of like, broke and trying to save money. So, and our anniversary was the next week. So we wanted to save, to do something for our anniversary. But as some of you know, I've been submitting a novel, not the one that I'm self publishing in October about Jehovah's Witness exorcism story. This is a book I wrote for a middle grade audience, like middle school age. And it's sort of like a paranormal mystery. I've been describing it as like Knives Out meets Goosebumps. It's The Conjuring for kids, basically, but funny. And so I've been submitting that for the last 6 to 8 months or so. And I had this agent that really seemed they were really I don't know, they took me for a ride a little bit and kind of made it seem like it was going to happen. And it was going to happen in January, really. And I finally it came back, that like I had made edits for them. I'd submitted my full manuscript. They were very complimentary of it, very excited. They gave me the like, "You've got it, kid. You've got it." But then I don't know. They're like, actually, no. So I got a rejection. I'll get more into detail of that about that at another time, I suppose. But that happened on my birthday. And so I was not feeling super great about that. This thing that would have meant a lot of money and the thing I've been working on for a long time, like totally fell through. So now I'm kind of starting from scratch in terms of like pitching to agents and stuff. So that was devastating. And then obviously my birthday's hard anyway because I'm an XJW. It brings up the fact that my parents don't talk to me, and so that feels bad. And so I was feeling really resentful of them and sad. And so I was just really in my feels. And then the next day, my dad texts me about like, where's my money, basically. And I've totally flipped out on him. I kind of just unloaded. I didn't say anything wrong or inaccurate, but I just told him how I really felt, which is like, it's complete bullshit that I didn't curse though, but I just told him it really sucks that I don't hear from you at all. And you treat me like I'm dead. And now I hear from you and it's because of money. I really need a dad. I really need an actual dad in my life. It's just the whole, it was very woe is me, but I said a lot of stuff that had been on my mind for a while. And so this meeting that we had at his place was to kind of clear the air. And really it was good. I was very nervous about it, but it was unexpectedly pleasant. I got there, my mom and dad were there, made me a cup of coffee. We sat and shot the shit for a while. And I asked them who's growing a beard. So I got the dirt on who's growing a beard, which is great. I did apologize to them for kind of my harsh words. But I had a one-on-one talk with my dad that lasted. I mean, we talked for an hour and a half or so, and for the first time, we really haven't had a sit-down conversation since before my disfellowshipping was announced. But I felt heard. I felt like he was actually letting me speak. I let him speak, and so it was kind of nice. It was very bittersweet. It just their house is exactly the same way it was when I left it. Maybe there's new knickknacks, but for the most part, it's exactly the same. And my dad had some cool new in his office where we sat and talked. He had some old publications that he'd grabbed from a Kingdom Hall project. They were going to throw out all these old publications, and he took some. And so they just hadn't changed at all. And that's what my dad kept saying, like, me and your mom, we're just the same that we've always been. I'm the one that's changed. And they're right. But I think it also, just seeing them in person, deflated that sense of like, It's very easy to build up your parents as villains in your head when they shun you because it's kind of an evil thing. It's a really emotionally manipulative thing to hold a relationship hostage unless I come back to the religion. But it was pretty good. But then I watched the broadcast later and I realized, oh, that's why they were so nice. They wanted me to return to Jehovah. It was because of the broadcast. And, um, of course, my dad said some things that were frustrating. He kind of ended it like, you know, I'm your dad. So I'm just going to tell you this because I'm your dad. Just again, sometimes dads they know their sons, and you just need to hear this. Your problem is humility. You're just not humble. I didn't see it when you were in the organization, but you just lack humility. So I just really hope you think about that. And so I pushed back on that, and I said, to the best of my memory, I said something like, well, it's not humble to insist that you're right and be so dogmatic that you're right, that you're willing to cut off your own children because you believe in religious doctrine. I said, to me, I don't think that I'm right or that I have found some kind of truth, which he said, oh, I know. I said, well, but I left because I was willing to admit that I was wrong and I didn't know anything. Like I studied these doctrines and I felt like I did not have a good reason to believe anymore. And I think that that is humble. And so my dad is like me, but a alpha male jock type who is an elder. So my arrogance times 5, right? We're very similar. I did ask him, I was like, Dad, do you think you're a humble person? He went, work on it every day. Like, okay. So anyway, that's like, yeah, isn't telling someone they're not a humble thing to do by its own definition. It really is. Yeah. And that's the thing, so that's the broadcast really started my waking up too. If you've seen my videos on why I left the witnesses, um, and after watching this broadcast for my video essay, I don't know what that voice was. It kind of it made me feel a bit of despair for my parents. Like, no, they haven't changed. But even though, like, intellectually, I understand how indoctrination works and why witnesses don't bat an eye at this stuff because they hear it all the time, it was still kind of like, if my parents can watch this broadcast and not think that I maybe had a point, that this group is a cult, then I really don't know what to say. I don't think that there's any saving them. And everybody's waking up journey is different. But I don't know. I guess I selfishly thought when I got this fellowship that that would be kind of a jolt to their system, and it might make them slowly start to question. But that very clearly has not happened. So I don't know what that little pity party is that I just had, but we did it. We had the pity party, and it's been had. So okay, so the video, which will hopefully come out tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, is going to be a two-parter because it's really triggering. I'm not going to go over it on this broadcast because it's just felt like, the emotions are too raw. So the video I'm releasing goes over the first half of it, and then I'll release another one that goes over the second half of it. Real quick, take a real quick sip of water. Yeah. I don't That's kind of the thing is every time I meet with them, it's like, oh, maybe this is a chance to No, they double down. Oh, I did forget the other thing that we talked about because we have had troubles. I've talked about last year. I guess last January, I also didn't have a great birthday, or not a great January anyway. I was in the hospital after, let's call it a self harm attempt, and my parents came and visited me, which I did not want. I didn't want them to know at all. They found out and they visited me. And so when I was talking to my dad the other day, I was like, I just hope you know, like, I don't want to be reliant upon you for help. I really appreciate that you are willing to help out despite our differences, but I don't ever want to come to ask for help because I feel like it feeds into your perception that anybody who leaves the witnesses is just like chewed up by Satan's system of things and spat out, and they become this alcoholic laying on the couch with a pile of beer bottles. And he's like, but that did happen to you. It's like, no. He's like, well, last year, you drank all that alcohol and you ended up in the back of an ambulance. The reason why I ended up in the back of an ambulance is because fentanyl was in my drink. Like, I don't know if somebody like slipped in some shit, but fentanyl came up on the talk screen. And I wasn't doing any drugs or anything. So that's what caused me to go to the hospital. But yeah, from my dad's standpoint, my life was shitty. And he said, because he was saying, oh, we just want you to be happy. We just want you to be happy and successful in your life, which I appreciated, because that's my biggest fear, is that they won't be happy. And he said, but you just don't seem happy when we see you. It's like, it's because you don't see us. Like, you only ever see me at the lowest points in my life, like when I'm in the hospital or we need help desperately with something. So yeah, I guess in hindsight, it wasn't a great conversation, but I don't know. It felt kind of it felt good. We weren't yelling at each other or anything. So it was good in that regard. But yeah, mixed feelings, and that's why I kind of felt like, hey, today I don't really want to watch like the rest of that broadcast. A, because I want to talk about it in video essay form. But second of all, because it's a little raw. So anyway, thank you for all these nice comments. People are throwing out their stories. There was a couple comments I wanted to point out, which, yes, publishing is a tough biz. Get prepped for hundreds of rejections. And yeah, don't worry. I know. I got at least like 50 rejections for that manuscript so far. So it's not too bad. I know, I really am. It was completely insane. I still don't really know exactly how that happened, but even a bad conversation is better than no conversation. Yeah, and like all of the books sound like a parent. All the books say that the best way to actually get somebody out of a cult is just to keep the lines of communication open, to let them know that there is a world outside of the group. And so, I am a lot happier than when I was a witness, and I always remind him of that. And I also try to remind him that, they do know me. They know that, like, being like an author illustrator or doing comedy or performance or something was what I always wanted to do. So it shouldn't be that surprising to them. But hey, enough whiny baby talk. Okay, before we get into the Q&A, I have to share something really funny. Sometimes I encounter weird JW stuff in the wild. I've, for some reason, just been falling in love with Red Letter Media, the iconic film review channel. It's great. They have a series called Best of the Worst, where they go over bad movies and just talk about movies that are so bad they're good, and this is an infamous one that I had heard them mention before, The Last Vampire on Earth. So here I am just watching a funny YouTube channel, take my mind off Jehovah's Witness stuff. I'm just going to play this because it really caught me off guard. It's this terrible movie called The Last Vampire on Earth. It looks like it was shot by like teenagers with a digital camera from 1998.
My parents' house.
Why don't you get going?
Alright, bye.
No,
And then they meet again.
she invites him to church.
Well, then, yes, church.
And that's when the first time we saw this movie, we were like, oh, this is going to be a religious film. This is the
Yeah, so it's like a vampire movie. It's a clear Twilight ripoff, and like, oh, okay, church imagery.
religious version of Twilight.
Christian group wants to capitalize in Twilight fame. Oh, they'll come in for the Twilight. They'll stay for Jesus.
In pursuit of what we deem the most desirable kind of.
So it's like, okay, it's a
The
pretty typical
romantic
bad movie
hero.
stuff so far.
Let's thank Jehovah for our food.
The dinner scene, though, was
What? He said, let's thank Jehovah for our food. What the fuck? And this is so weird. I don't know anything about this movie. I desperately need to track it down and do more research into it. And maybe me and Christina could do a commentary or something, because this is so bizarre. Like, they were in a church. This guy just said, pray to Jehovah. And the Jehovah's Witness stuff does not stop there.
was when the real meet cute happened.
The
It was
meat.
what- That was when the little kid was eating the chicken. It was super cute. Remember, he was like playing with it.
He was like
and then
dissecting it, yeah.
And he ate a piece like an animal.
they cut back to him and like,
Yeah. And they show all the chicken falling out of his mouth.
They talk about witness
You
stuff.
barely touched your food.
Don't worry about it. I'll eat it.
I'll eat it. I'll finish your leftovers.
Is this invited?
What?
Oh.
Because he looks like a garbage pail kid.
Oh,
Jay, he looks-
They're mean to
In
this
our
kid first.
religion, we believe that
Okay,
blood
here we go.
Yeah, he does.
He does
Technically,
eat-
Jay, he looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid.
That's true.
Yeah, he does.
That's true. That's true.
I promise this is
In our religion, we believe that blood is sacred, and we are not allowed to eat blood of any kind or receive blood transfusions.
I see. So if you were in a bad accident and lost a lot of blood, you'd be in a real predicament then. That's a shame.
So we're
You don't talk about that.
So, that's basically all they get into. The blood thing comes into it, but like what the fuck is this? It's so weird. I don't know anything about this. They are just watching it as a funny bad movie. They don't really know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses. But now I'm kind of like, I gotta figure out what the story is, because clearly this person has some cursory knowledge of Jehovah's Witnesses, but like, I don't know, it's weird. But it was also funny watching it, like, hey, if this is the competition for my JW horror story that deals with blood stuff, it's called The Last Vampire on Earth. I'm pretty sure it's streaming on like every crappy streaming service. So anyway, that was just a fun thing I found while listening to Red Letter Media in the background while at work. Okay, so here's the thing with me. I have ADHD, and I often will get very excited about something and then not do it. For example, when I hit 14,000 subscribers, I was like, oh, I should do a Q&A, and then I never did it. So I figured I'd go through these questions that got left in the last one, go over the question from the first one. You absolutely should. That could be fun. I think the question is, I got to find a way to do it so it's not just taken down for showing a full movie. I don't know. So if you have questions, leave them in the chat right now. What can we do? This is from John DeJarino. They might be in chat right now. This avatar looks familiar. What can we do to get the governing body to change their policies on shunning and child abuse? I think what's happening right now in Norway is how you do it. Is it has to be done through the legal system and through public pressure. Usually the only time when they ever make a change is when they are legally forced to do so. What changes they have made what improvements they've made to their CSA policies have only happened because victims of abuse in the organization have come forward, held Watchtower to account in the court of law, and changes are mandated to happen. So, for example, right now, XJW activists in Washington, and we've talked about this on the channel a little bit with Mitch and Marino, they've been a part of that. And the bill, I believe, just passed. They actually had to work with like Catholic Church leadership too, because obviously it can't just apply to Jehovah's Witnesses. It has to apply to everybody, but tightening up mandatory reporting laws. I think Washington was one of the few states where there weren't any mandatory reporting laws, or they were very limited. So now those have been, more concretely defined. And because XJWs were involved in the process, they were able to Watchtower proof the wording of the law. Sometimes Watchtower will get away with their judicial hearings as being confessionals, even though they're nothing like a confessional, just because people don't really know a lot about Jehovah's Witnesses. So I think that that's the main thing to do, is just to raise awareness, litigation, and, for the love of God, just don't. You have to vote for people that will challenge religious communities that are harmful. So if they're sympathetic to evangelicals and stuff, that's not going to be helpful. So that's definitely a thing. Any plans for the Second School podcast to return? I miss you and Ben. I miss it too. We talk sometimes about doing it, but he is between school and work in another country. He's very busy, and also is just, I don't know, I think really living his best life, not worrying about Jehovah's Witness stuff at all. And we both just have other stuff that we're working on. But man, I hope so someday, because it was such a blast doing that. And I miss having an excuse to talk to Ben every week or so. Saddest Salmon, which is a fun name. Sorry for the big clunky water slurp there. Now that you've been out of Jehovah's Witnesses for a while, what does your metaphysical understanding of the world like? What guides you to answer some of the hard questions around ethics now that you've lost your framework that provided simple, easy answers? It's a very good question. And by the way, if you're leaving questions, I'll jump into that next after I answer this. So I don't have a metaphysical understanding to the universe at all, right? Because, metaphysical implies beyond the physical world that we can know about objectively and measure. So I don't really have any metaphysical understanding of the universe at all. And I think sometimes that bums people out. I'm an atheist. I'm an agnostic atheist, meaning that I don't know whether or not a God exists, but I do not believe that a God does exist. I'm not stating it from a place of certainty, but I actively disbelieve in the notion of God or gods or spirits or whatever. Now, I love religious mythology. I love reading about mystics and spiritism and stuff just because it's very fun and interesting, but I don't believe in any of it. I find a lot of hope and motivation in just learning more about the universe as we can understand it, like the majesty of the universe, if I can be sappy. It's beautiful, and humans are beautiful. The way our brains work and the things that humans have been able to accomplish is really amazing. And that's kind of where I tend to find hope, not in specific people or institutions, because they can fail you, but just in the potential for humans. I do believe in that. And as far as questions around ethics, now that I've lost my framework that provided simple, easy answers, I don't know. I think I tend to. What would I say about that? I don't know. I guess I believe that you should try and be a good person and not do harm. I think that people are like worthy of dignity and respect, and anything that treats a certain kind of person based on like immutable traits about themselves, like anything that treats them as lesser or worse, any kind of supremacist ideology, I find really harmful. I guess I'd have to think on that. I'd have to pray on that. I don't have a really coherent way of saying that. But I don't think most people do. I don't think most people are like, "Oh no, a hard situation. Let me consult my moral framework that I have flawlessly constructed." I guess that was a boring answer. It's Jordan Angelus. I believe this is the artist formerly known as That King J. I believe I saw that she changed her channel name, I think. Oh shit, I said I was going to get to chat. All right. You sons of bitches. That's a really good question. That wasn't for me. That was about the movie The Last Vampire on Earth, and it's a good, really good question. It seems like you shouldn't be able to go into a church. This is also just a good point that, yeah, Massimo Intervene, Watchtower's favorite lobbyist on their behalf, is like obsessed with vampires and real world vampires and has written scholarly works on vampires. I've never read his stuff on vampires. I have to say, I just haven't been particularly interested in it. AMA question: what's the weirdest non-org sanctioned belief JWs have, i.e. thrift store furniture can harbor demons from previous owners? Yeah, I think that the cultural stuff around demons is really interesting. That's been front of mind for me because I'm writing this like demon possession story within a small town Jehovah's Witness community. And so I've just been reading everything the organization has ever written about demons, and so many weird little things that like C.T. Russell wrote are still just culturally canon, even though the organization hasn't written about it in 100 years. These urban legends like garage sales, and they're not universal because my family and congregation that I was in loved garage sales. Like we would go to them out in service and just justify it as like, hey, this is where the people are. And of course, we'd always get something and I don't know, leave them a tracts while we're giving them a few bucks for whatever we got from the garage sale. And yet my family absolutely firmly believed in demons, and that demons could be brought into the house via objects. I remember my uncle once threw out my cousin's CDs because she started acting weird and demonized. And so he threw out like her Now CD and her Britney Spears CD that she had. And then their life's going great. So all that stuff is really weird. The other cultural thing that's really weird, non-org sanctions. That's a good one. I can't think of anything that's like universal non-org sanctioned. That's the demon stuff is really great. And the fact that just the same stories pop up. Like I remember talking to Riley Jegsit on a video we did where he told like a demon story that he had heard. And everybody in chat was like, oh yeah, I heard that story. But instead of this detail, we had this detail. I find that very fun. These purely orally recited urban legends just through a game of telephone spread around the world of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's great. Art by Laugh. What's any advice you have for an XJW aspiring artist / YouTuber? Well, I guess, I mean, in terms of like, if you want to start a channel, don't do what I did in any way, shape, or form. I would definitely recommend against doing it while you're in the org. For real. Like, I think that the idea of kind of blowing it all up via YouTube. I probably wouldn't do that specific part of it again. But of course, it all made sense at the time. I think what I'd say is the most important part of any good YouTube channel, XJW or otherwise anymore, is just the voice of the channel. Like, there's a million channels all covering identical subjects, whether it's video games or movies, music, whatever. But the only thing that really stands out, you can try and play these games to game the algorithm, which I'm obviously very bad at. But the things that I always return to are just people who have an original voice and who talk about things in a way that feels unique from the way other people are talking about it. And you can only do that by doing it and figuring it out and figuring out your own voice. And so I don't know, if you wanted to, like, as far as art's concerned, I do feel like doing YouTube has helped me just find my voice as a writer and stuff too, because I don't know, like, writing YouTube scripts is the first time I've really tried to actively write in my voice, literally. Like, literally, when I talk, if I said this out loud, it wouldn't sound right. I don't know if that made sense. I think there was another thinger. I don't know. No, I don't know what that is. No. Yeah, please like the stream, even though I don't know if it's going to stay up. We'll see. I think what I might do, though, is delist it, at least for a little bit, when the next video comes out, because I feel like the streams kind of eat the views of the main channel videos, if these most recent numbers are anything to go by. All right, here's another question from 3 months ago. So I hope this person's still around. It seems like they have a question. Been following you for a while. Love your style and sense of humor. Thank you. You remind me of a younger cousin, generally, or a younger cousin of Cindy Harvell, 7021. Question: how do you deal with the shunning of your immediate family? Oh, I guess we kind of talked about this at the beginning, huh? I deal with it poorly. Some days I deal with it well, and some days I do not. But let's see. I am probably one of the few that isn't shunned by my PME family. How does that work? Like, they literally never ever talk with you? I mean, no, it's not never ever, because I will get the odd text from them once every few months about either an emergency or something that they feel constitutes necessary contact. But I never just have normal hangouts with my family anymore. How do I cope? I don't know. Still trying to figure that out. Don't cope with substance abuse. I can tell you that. I've learned from that mistake. Although I am probably going to smoke some pot. That's different. That's a totally different thing. I swear. Okay, congratulations. My question is, what, if anything, would you do differently about how you left the org? Myself, I wish I had left a little more gracefully and not been so angry and aggressive with my immediate family. Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. But it's also like, I don't know. It's the most like abnormal, disorienting, strange situation you can find yourself in. It's so emotionally charged. Like, finding out that you've been living your life based around something that isn't true. And in my case, in a lot of people's cases, you don't have a support system outside the organization because, of course, you aren't allowed to have that. So you're forced into the position of living a double life, because the second you're public about your doubts or the way you really think, that puts you in the hot seat, and you're very likely going to get punished in some way, whether you're marked or, I can't remember the term, reproved or disfellowshipped. So, yes, obviously, if I had like perfect, complete control over my emotions and reason at the time, I would have done it differently. I would have been less angry and everything. But you kind of can't. There's only so much you could do when you're just, this animal instinct is kicking in, this instinct of like betrayal and anger, and Yeah. Natiri, GG. Natiri, like the character from Avatar? Or no? Either way, it's a cool name. What are you doing to explore your passions and identity having left the org? Well, I know, like I talked about, trying to take writing really seriously. And I don't know if it'll amount to anything, but it's something that I've wanted to do since I was a kid. Like since elementary school, we had an author illustrator come to this school. I think it was the person who wrote and illustrated If You Give a Mouse a Cookie. It's my memory. And ever since I knew that that was a thing you could do, because I loved books from the time I was a little kid, I was like, oh yeah, I want to do that. And so I always wanted to. And so that's the thing that I would say is like, just throw yourself into whatever you always wanted to do. Sometimes people reach out and they're like, I don't know what I want to do because I don't know myself at all. And I think the best thing to do is just open yourself up to new experiences. And I'm not talking about like going to a sweat lodge and doing ayahuasca or something, although that, I don't know, that could be fun, but I just like try stuff, really try to meet people, meet different kinds of people, and really make sure you're challenging your social biases that you have. Like, I don't know, like you can't really deconstruct your own, I don't know, sexuality or your own feelings about politics if you're still kind of set in your ways about certain things. That was vague and made no sense. I don't know what I'm talking about. I am just shouting out this comment because Legion, yes, plays a huge role in the book. Yay. What's my family's JW's take on cannabis now that it's legal there? I did not bring that up, although here we go. I'm pretty fully cringy. I'm a bit of a, I feel adrift. I feel adrift generally as a person. Like, what kind of person am I? I'm like kind of this, on one hand, snooty, openly bisexual leftist, but on the other hand, what do I love? I love Rick and Morty. I've got a Get Swifty bowl right now. I like Zack Snyder movies. I one of the videos I'm planning on making on my other channel is just kind of analyzing a bisexual analysis of his films, because I feel like there's something interesting there. You know, the movies aren't good. There's something interesting there. So I don't know, embrace all your weird contradictions as a person. There's no such thing as normal. But there is such a thing as being an asshole. So try not to be that and try to just be the weird person that you are. Hey, shout out to Miss Usato, who's been running things on, or maybe, I don't know if running things is right, but they've been contributing to Avoid JW, which is an invaluable resource. What do I enjoy doing the most now that you were not allowed to do when you're in the org? Well, one thing is this, and I'm not allowed to do it on camera, so I'm going to turn it off. Wait, I should play something while I'm doing this. Damn it. Do I have anything that's like longer than 30 seconds? Did anybody not see the trailer for Not a Cult that I made? I mean, I could show that again. I just need to, I want to light up. I wanted to do a little wake and bake this morning because I've earned a treat after an unpleasant week. Damn it. It's going to take so long to upload this. Mother effer. Okay. This apparently is a thing. And I don't know why this has become a thing. Reactivated is not a new term at all. I don't know where I even saw this being spread around. This is a thing that it's not you, Jenny B. This is not a you problem. This is a me problem. But I don't know. Sometimes people are like, well, I never heard that as a witness, so it's new. But like, no. If you are inactive, and then what happens if you start going to meetings again? You are reactivated. That's a term I've heard my entire life. It is generally like an elderly term. I think I probably heard it more because my dad was an elder. So he would say, yes, ice cream headache. Reactivated refers to inactive people, not disfellowship. So yeah, I guess they use that term in the broadcasts, the new broadcast, maybe. It didn't even stand out to me. You are young. Try not to put yourself into a box. Hey, I don't think I am. I feel like I just said that I'm not putting myself in a box. I'm a weirdo. I'm a weird person. Hey, I don't know what we're the same about. Good. Listen, Rick and Morty is one of those things that much like the XJW community gets a bad rap because of its most annoying fans. You know, like when Watchtower is talking about all those crazy apostates, it's like, okay, yes, some of them are okay, but most of us are just normal in saying that the group is wrong. Okay, I'm gonna play some background music. Here, what can I do? I'll play. This is called Acoustic Cinematic. I wonder if I can remove my camera, but not my audio. It doesn't matter. This is a quick 2-minute smoke break brought to you by Altworldly. Have you ever wanted to watch a video that a lot of work was put into it, but it still somehow seems crappy? Like there's almost so much work went into maybe one part of it that other parts of it are lacking or sloppy, and the audio doesn't sync right with the video. Check out the Altworldly channel. He barely knows what he's doing. That was just incense that I lit for the mood, you see. All right, that's enough of Acoustic Cinematic. That was the worst song I've ever heard. Okay, so there you go. It is robotic, isn't it? It's like reactivated. And that's another thing. It's not announced like, yeah, good point. Okay, hey. We've got more questions to get to, by golly. More cues. Oh, hey, I never did get to Jordan Angelus's question. Sorry, the Jordan Angelus. It's like the Ohio State University. It's Super Bowl Sunday. I don't care about that. I mean, God love you. If you care about the Super Bowl, I'm sure I'd like to watch it. But I've just always been kind of neutral on pro football. I like watching college football, but my memory is weird. I don't have a good memory for like team mates. Start over. I don't have a good memory for like players' names and team stuff like that. So I always enjoy watching it, but I don't really follow it or care. The Jordan Angelus, I'm so sorry. I keep getting distracted. One, what's the hardest thing about being an XJW YouTuber? I think the hardest thing is just like, it's probably the same thing that of being any kind of YouTuber, which is that anything that you're sensitive about will be pointed out to you. Like every little thing about my physical appearance that I'm self-conscious about, has been brought to my attention, whether it's like my skin or like this tick that I have. I have like a nervous tick with my eye. People will bring up that stuff. My voice has been compared to everybody. Like, I don't know. So that kind of stuff doesn't feel great, but that's just going to happen anytime you put your face on the internet. And the people always saying that shit are people who would never put their own face on the internet. So, what do I love the most about being an XJW YouTuber? I love, I really find it just so satisfying to use, like, to, I don't know, weaponize this knowledge that I have, my entire life so far. So, like, the majority of the life that I have lived has been spent in Jehovah's Witnesses. And so it does feel nice that I can use that knowledge for good. And I also think it's fun to try and articulate stuff in a way that has not been said before. There's, the Watchtower just kind of poops out the same few talking points, cycles through them. And so it can be easy to think that like, oh, I don't have anything to add to the conversation. So I always try and start from the standpoint of like, this is the thing that I don't think anybody else is going to bring up or that I've noticed that bothers me. And I think that's what people like. So that is fun and satisfying. I like that. Oh, and then 3, how do you think we can provide the best help and support for young PMO teens? That's a great question. I will shout out I think it's called jw.support. Am I right? Yeah, so jw.support. I don't know if it's still, I haven't been on this in a while, actually. I don't know if it's still an active website, but they've got a lot of nice resources here. It's got like a quick escape hatch if you don't want to be caught by your parents. There's always this button on screen. This is something that some LGBTQ websites use because, unfortunately, Jehovah's Witnesses are not the only homophobic group of people that shuns. But it has support links, a lot of great, short, to the point and well-written articles, some of which are like written by people who struggle with these issues, links to live support, information about recovering from religion, international crisis lines. It's got experiences, interviews and experiences. I mean, look at like everything from cutting and self-harm. Art from former Jehovah's Witnesses. Ooh, I have never seen this. By the way, I've got, it's not final yet or anything, but I am hoping to, been talking to an ex-JW artist about the cover for the book I'm working on. This is so cool. The Weights of Guilt. Oh, man. This artist, oh, see, this is my favorite artist here. Sarah, I don't know if it's pronounced Riches or Riches or whatever, but her style is so great. If you've not seen her pieces, they're fantastic. I got some music. I mean, this is great. So I think shouting out this resource, actually, I did a better job of mentioning it in earlier videos of mine. And I should probably get back to doing that because it's very well done. It was made in part by Paul Grundy of JW Facts fame. But I also think we're among friends here, are we not? Okay. Homophobia, transphobia, queerphobia in general, huge problem in the organization. They're jumping on the transphobia bandwagon just like everybody else. And meanwhile, there's this kind of contingent that's just very popular online of like red pill male grievance influencers like Andrew Tate, Steven Crowder, and Ben Shapiro, and that contingent that really appeal to a sense of like patriarchal and regressive masculinity. They're very sympathetic to the worldview of a young man or like a PMO teen, which was the question. A lot of young men could easily get sucked into that kind of stuff. And if you've been around this space, you know that just like the real world, thanks for stopping by, Ex-Witness Awake, by the way. We had such a fun conversation about that crazy Sam Hurd talk last week, if you haven't seen it. But yeah, like people are people. The XJW community is not one thing. There's, there's the subreddit, there's YouTube channels, there's Facebook groups, and there are people who believe all of the same social stuff that Jehovah's Witnesses do, but just think you need to serve, I don't know, Jesus instead of Jehovah or whatever. And so I think really focusing on creating a space that's like accepting of queer people is really important. I really worry about people who are, Trevor Project for kicked out LGBTQ teens. We don't need to recreate the power structures of Jehovah's Witnesses, the biases of Jehovah's Witnesses. There's a lot of closeted queer kids in Jehovah's Witnesses that need a safe space. And I do worry about them finding some segment of XJW YouTube that is still super shitty. They're allowed to say whatever they want, and I'm allowed to say that they're shitty, So, but I think trying to focus on making sure that there's a space where people can like deconstruct the like super conservative patriarchal men are better than women structure, but also, I don't know. I think that was a really long rambling answer that I don't know if it was helpful at all, but those are things that are on my mind. Ooh. What piece of pop culture do you feel might be a great way to wake up young people and cause them to question their indoctrination? I'm thinking specifically for PMOs that would like to see if family members or friends might have the potential of waking up without engaging in a frontal assault. I've always wanted to make a video, and I don't know why I haven't done it yet. It always just seems like, oh yeah, they've got their whole little shitty, hateful world that they can occupy with different alternative facts that support their worldview. Anyway, pop culture. I'm a big believer in anything with positive representation of queerness is good, because I know I get focused on making like intellectual arguments. People are not engaged with Jehovah's Witnesses for intellectual reasons. It is emotional. And we as humans are not nearly as rational and logical as we like to think. We do base a lot of our positions on emotions. Ben Shapiro likes to say facts don't care about your feelings, but he's one of the most emotional, yellingest, angriest people on the platform, and he clearly bases half of his worldview just around things that he thinks are just icky. So I think anything that that can humanize like gay people is really good, because it will start to feel like they'll be able to start seeing how reductive and unfair the organization stance on gay people is. So that stuff's always good. Anything that's funny, you can disarm people with laughter. So I always recommend ContraPoints. I don't know if that's considered pop culture, but she just makes videos that are very informative and funny and watchable. But that will break down a lot of barriers. The show Community is one of my favorites. I mean, Witnesses probably won't like it because it is occasionally Donald Glover's character, Troy, is technically a Jehovah's Witness in the show. It only really comes up in like 3 or 4 episodes as like kind of a side joke. I'm trying to think on it. Thank you, by the way. I can't think of anything specific. But I know that the stuff that really had an impact on me was all kind of weird. It would be stuff like the show Community or like the Avengers, like the first Avengers movie where Loki comes down and he makes this crowd bow before him and he's like, "Is this not your natural state? Man was made to serve. You know, you want to be controlled." And then the one, you know, old Jewish man stands up. It's like, "Oh, no, don't, space Hitler, stop it." Hearing like a bad guy talk about how people naturally want to be controlled or in a subservient place, I was like, wait a minute, that's what we think is Jehovah's Witnesses. So I think it is hard to predict the sorts of weird little things that are going to wake people up. Hey, Extra WMJ. The girl with 7 names. I've not heard of that. Oh, you said it. You said it, sister. I don't know. Are there any other questions here? Dan Lerman, that's Danny boy. That's old XJW Caleb. Oh, what do I do now that I never thought I would do as a JW? Definitely smoking pot. I don't know. I probably thought that I would do that as a JW. Actively pursue my passions and like take it really seriously. I think I had resigned myself to just suppressing all that into the new world. Me and Christina went to a strip club once. That seemed like a thing that I would definitely never do. It was super fun. Let's see. Oh, this is actually a very good question. Do you think it's possible to break fully? Sorry. Do you think it's possible to fully break free from the grip of the JW cult while continuing to digest and do videos debunking the religion? And if you feel it's possible, how do you personally do it? Yeah, I mean, I think there's some presuppositions here with this question because I hear this a lot. There's this contingent of people who never, ever do anything helpful in the XJW community, but just always have criticisms for shit that XJWs should or should not be doing. And I'm not saying that Leon Helsby is doing that. I don't think that's the case, but if I say hear it a lot from certain people that are like, oh, the XJW YouTubers like keep people in some kind of routine of Jehovah's Witnesses because, oh, hey, we were just talking about you.
Me
and
or
that strip.
Peach?
Oh, both of you.
Oh.
Remember when we went to a strip club, not with Peach?
I do remember that.
Hey, Peach's break. Oh, yeah. What's up? Look at this girl. She gets so nervous when she's on camera. Camera. Oh, but look, she knows she is a princess.
She really does. Look
Truly
at
the
her.
Princess Peach. She looks regal. Oh, you're cute.
Oh, I don't feel cute.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, you're tired and in your PJs and doing homework, which is very cute.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
He's in here, but he's pretty chilled out.
yeah, we'll see. Bo is. I've literally been locked in here because it was the only way to lock Bo out of the room. A Peach's pole dance. She does. She's pretty good on her hind legs. She can like stay up on her back legs for a long time. Ooh, Triforce tattoo. What I want is a tattoo like on the back of my hand. Well, what I actually want is Ellie's tattoo from Last of Us 2. That's what I want. But it's, you know, it's always like, ooh, maybe I can get a tattoo and then we have to take Peaches to the vet. So it's like, never. You know, I don't know what it says about me, but I think Christina and I would go all the time if we could. We've only done it once, but it was a blast. You know, we're both bi, and so we had like a great experience. It was interesting. I think that's true. You know, I do think that there's this push and pull between we don't want to like turn JWs off to what we're saying, so we should be very like serious and dire about things. That's very true. What the hell was I talking about? Oh yeah, it was this. Oh shit, I got so off track. Okay, possible to fully break free from the grip of the religion. Well, yes. Okay, so I don't think that this is a question that anybody would ask of any other religion. So my like guilty pleasure content is like atheist call-in shows. Love it. I love it. I would love to do it, but I just know now from experience that I'm not actually good at debate. I'm not good at like that juggling act of like rebutting people in real time, like the debate I did with Andrew Gold, which I need to release again now that he's blown up. Need to humble that gentleman. Remind him of his roots, acting like a baby when he was called transphobic for saying objectively transphobic things. What the fuck am I talking about? The last few streams, I took my ADHD medicine before, but I didn't today. I don't think it's coming through at all. So anyway, like atheist YouTubers, right? They are not at risk for becoming a Christian again because they watch a lot of Christian material. And I don't think anybody ever talks about like, oh man, that Leah Remini and Mike Rinder, if they keep watching all this Scientology stuff, they're going to end up right back in the religion and they're never really going to fully deconstruct. Like, it's bullshit. And I don't really know where this narrative started that you can't rebut a thing without internalizing all of it, but I just don't think it's true. Yeah.
The washer machine's going and he's gonna fall asleep.
Oh, okay.
He's been wanting to nap in here, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can at least close it a little bit. Cool. Yeah. Thanks, babe. Our washer is so loud. It sounds like Apollo 8 taking off. Is that even a real spaceship? Or is that from that bad found footage horror movie? So yeah, I don't really get it. Yes. Now here's what I'll say. I think that when you are like waking up, that you should give yourself a break from that stuff. Like, make sure that you're enjoying other things and not keeping yourself in a constant state of anger. Like, like JW content, I have to take a break from it. That's why we're not talking about the broadcast today, because I'm like, you know what? I know what kind of mood I'm in at this point. And if I start watching the stupid talk about apostasy and the fucking music video, that I'm just going to be in a bad mood the rest of the day, and I don't want to do that. Was Killer Mike a Mormon? Is that true? Well, also, I think I've just come around on, I also don't think that debates are that productive. I do, depending on the subject, I do tend to find it entertaining. But yes, I think some people aren't really good at examining stuff, but they still make videos. Danny, why are you coming in here? Stirring up stuff. That's not the kind of thing we do on this channel recently. In a recent video, we don't do that stuff. But yeah, like, if you are waking up, give yourself room. You know, make sure you are finding joy in things and not just consuming stuff that keeps you angry. But yeah, you can absolutely consume this stuff and not like fall into old habits, so to speak. And by the way, I'm also not doing a live reaction to the rebuttal because overwhelmingly the scripted broadcast won in the poll I did. I think somebody left a comment on this that was the same one that they did. New software available like Procreate Dreams. Do you think you'd ever want to collaborate with other XJWs on animated shorts or similar artistic projects? I don't know what Procreate Dreams is at all, but yes, that sounds amazing, and I would love to do that. And thank you for saying that you're excited for the horror novel. We'll see if it turns out any good. I don't think there were as many questions on this. People were like, that motherfucker said he would answer questions 3 months ago. Now here's a question. After leaving the org, how did you cope with having lost the promise of an afterlife? Afterlife? I currently live in Ari Aster life, and I'm a big fan of Ari Aster's films. But this person was M. Arnold was asking about the promise of an afterlife. I think the afterlife thing has not impacted me as much as I thought it would. Maybe I should explain. I always I've got pretty low self-esteem generally, and it was much lower when I was a witness, and I was always just thinking like, I'm not going to make it into the new system. There's no way I would make it. And so the afterlife felt like something that was for other people, but me, I would be doing well to just I was just lucky that I didn't believe in hell, because I felt like I would go there. And so I really I didn't feel like I had really lost anything. It did make me feel very motivated to live the life I have to the fullest. Like, I don't know if I have what it takes to be a traditionally published author, but it's my dream. So I will try and do it anyway, because someday I'm going to die. And political stuff is another thing that I have to really watch my intake of. I really have to watch my intake of the news, because I'll just have my headphones in at work all day. And especially, with not only everything going to complete shit in my own country, but genocide happening in Gaza and wars happening in other countries, it is hard not to just feel like overwhelmed and hopeless and angry. So every time I start getting in that spiral, I do just try and remind myself, like, you know what? There are ways that I can get involved and volunteer and whatever, but I cannot control the fate of the world. When we're witnesses, the fate of the world's on our shoulders. And if we don't preach enough, then there's blood on our hands. But that's not the case with, like, I don't know, who's going to be president, or a war that we have no control over. Like, we can use our voices, we can do community outreach, we can canvass or campaign or whatever. But, like, the world is a whole world. You can't control you yourself cannot control the direction of things. So all you can do is your best, and that's enough. Yeah. That's the thing. I have so many things in life making me angry, which is just not a feeling I really had as a witness. I never got angry about stuff unless, like, I lost at a video game, but I didn't, I was really fucking having a hard time, man. I don't know why I do this to myself, but I was curious to hear what that Supreme Court hearing was going to be like, where they heard evidence of, whether or not Trump was qualified to be on the ballot. And something about just it was just like, listening to that just made me want to fucking cut my own head off. It just was, it was awful. Just hearing these fucking elite oligarchs in robes hemming and hawing about this, like, incredibly serious matter of whether or not a guy who tried to remain in power after losing an election can he be on the ballot. Let's think about what the word officer means. I was losing my fucking mind. And then, of course, I can't, just, if you see any footage of what's happening in Gaza, you just want to burn everything down, because it's just not fair. And we have no fucking control over it. And so I have to, like, even talking about it now, what the fuck am I talking about? This is not what the stream's about. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's both what's good and bad. Like, life is kind of beautiful because it ends, and that it is finite. And we don't live in the grand scheme of things. We live right now. Which helps to explain why witnesses always think, well, obviously the end's going to come in my lifetime. Yeah, people have been saying that since before before the birth of Christ, people were saying, well, the world cannot possibly get any worse. I mean, apparently things were so shitty when Jesus was around that he started a whole religious movement of people that were like, yep, the end's coming any day now. For thousands of years, keeps not happening. Yeah, so I have to do it. That's why I've been talking, just listening to Red Letter Media, just oh man, people who make me laugh talking about movies. Sure, that's what I'll listen to. Oh, yeah. So anyway, oh my God, I can't say what I think about the Supreme Court without getting swatted legitimately, but hey, we've only got 10 minutes left before I expire. No, I don't know. I feel like we should watch something. And so there's a very short video. Remember how I said atheist call-in shows were kind of my guilty pleasure? I don't want to watch the shunning video, but I can laugh about stuff that doesn't matter and doesn't exist. Like God. No shade to anybody who believes in God. I think by now people know what my bias is coming into this now, right? I know. It's fucking awful. Are you into any stand-up comedians like Bill Burr? Bill Burr is all right. He's a good ranter. He's not my favorite. I do love stand-up. Yes. I went down a real Taylor Tomlinson kick a few months ago. I had always just kind of heard her on podcasts and stuff and thought she was funny, but never watched her stand-up. And then never really watched it. And she's fucking amazing. I think she's the best new stand-up I've seen in a long time. Huge fan. John Mulaney. I've had a chance to see him a couple of times. God, there's somebody I discovered through TikTok that's really funny. Now I can't remember his name. That's the thing on TikTok. Sometimes you're just seeing clips. Truly. I don't know. I don't know if it's news anymore when old people forget things. That it is always very funny. I mean, if you've seen this channel, you know that making fun of old people is my favorite pastime. This is an ageist show. Not really. It's just directed by. It's directed at the governing body. Anyway, we're not talking about the election. It's in fucking November. Maybe we'll all be dead by then. Wouldn't that be nice? This video is only 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 43 seconds. Oh, I think this just the fact that they'll kind of pull out all the stops and do this faux stop motion style. What do you call this when it's real people stop motion? I guess it's still just called stop motion, but would it be right to be called stop motion animation? I don't know. Oh my God, how have I never watched this movie? Because I love Kumail. I was excited to see this. I've listened to him and his wife's podcasts for a long time. Yeah, there's some guy I like who I can't remember anybody's names. Photographic stop motion. It's not quite time lapse because time lapse is real. That's you set a camera down for hours and hours and then you speed up the footage. But this is they're having them pose 1/4 inch. Kind of looks like a commercial.
A lot of people say that no intelligent person would believe in God.
Speaking of Trump, many people are saying this. No, this is not an argument that anyone makes. Nobody's saying that only stupid people believe in God. How did he put it?
A lot of people say that no intelligent person would believe in God.
No, nobody says that. It has nothing. I don't think that there's any person that's would ever credibly say something like no intelligent person believes in God. It's just obviously not true. So now they're going to argue against their ridiculously fake straw man that they
But
made up.
that's just not true. Many professionals believe in God, including doctors, lawyers, teachers, even many scientists.
When I see a car,
And if you want examples of scientists that believe in God, go to jw.org. They don't ever, like, I don't know. They never interview an evolutionary biologist who is suddenly convinced by Jehovah's Witnesses claims. It's always like, I worked in robotics. I worked in rocket science, and then I believed in God. Like, interesting.
Lawyers, teachers, even many scientists.
when I see
Also-
a car, I ask
Sorry,
myself.
I know I just rewound it, and now I'm going to do the same thing. But there's fucking shitty scientists. My dad always likes to say, there's always somebody who graduated at the bottom of their class. You know, in general, I think it's good to trust what the plurality of doctors say on a given matter. You know, something's been well researched and verified, peer reviewed. But one doctor can suck. And it's the same thing with scientists. There are hacks in every field. I mean, look at this. I'm a hack. Rewound the same part like 5 times.
Many scientists.
When I see a car, I ask myself, who built that? It
You do
takes
that
an
every
intelli-
single time you see a car. Every time you see a car, you say, who built that? Is it because you're thinking about the conditions in which automobiles are made? I don't know. No, he's making the blind watchmaker argument.
intelligent people to design a car. I mean, so many things have to work just right for the whole
Oh
thing
my
to run
god,
smoothly.
you're so right. Cars don't occur naturally. They do not develop naturally in nature, but humans do. It's different. Humans are born of a natural process, and cars are not.
And if a car needed someone to design it, so did humans. And
Okay,
so
Linda,
did
we
the
didn't need
Earth,
3
and
people
so
making
did the
this point.
universe.
It's like you're walking on a beach. You see an empty glass bottle sticking out of the sand. Now, glass.
So apparently the whole thing is just the blind watchmaker argument, and hey, people who are smart believe in God too. So they did the car thing, and they're doing the actual watch in the sandy beach thing. Pirates were murderers and rapists, by the way. Very inappropriate to be showing these to children.
On a beach. You see an empty glass bottle sticking out of the sand. Now, glass, it's made out of sand particles. But honestly, would an intelligent person believe that the bottle assembled itself from sand particles? No.
Would an intelligent person believe that? No, because fucking bottles aren't alive. We know how bottles are made, and we know where sand comes from, the process that creates and distributes sand. And we know where humans come from, and they're different. Who made your god? Where's your puny god now? Was this motherfucker's name Robbie? I knew like 87 Robbies as a Jehovah's Witness. Never met one outside.
Bottle sticking out of the sand. Now, glass, it's made out of sand particles. But honestly, would an intelligent
ass is
person
made out of
believe that the
sand
bottle
particles.
assembled itself from sand particles? No, of course not.
Researchers are exploring design features of insects, fish, and other animals to create new products.
Or improve products that already exist.
Okay. This is very weird. I mean, it's not weird. It's just bullshit that you've heard a million times. Yeah, it's not argued. It's just them saying scientists look to nature to make human inventions. So they're inventing something, which means that a spider was also invented by God. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Like they do the microevolution thing. Your ass is sand. You've heard of your ass is grass, but what about your ass is sand? I think the thing that's annoying about this is like when you're a witness, you're like, wow, we have the best arguments against evolution and in favor of God. And then if you just look for like 5 seconds on YouTube, you can find a million channels from evangelicals saying the exact same thing in making very well produced videos doing it.
Here's a bird called the kingfisher. Its beak is shaped so that it can dive quickly from air into water without losing too much speed.
What your peers say, belief in God, and I'm expected to believe that it just so happens that young people are just spontaneously saying that their belief in God is based on the kingfisher from the fucking JW Was It Designed series? I don't know.
So engineers have used the shape of this bird's beak to design the nose of Japan's bullet train. As a result, it goes 10% faster while using 15% less energy.
Some airplanes navigate with the help of a computerized autopilot system that could fit in your hand.
What the fuck does this have to
So
do with
that's nothing.
anything?
The monarch butterfly has a brain the size of a pinhead. And yet, it's able to navigate from Canada all the way to Mexico. That's about 1,800 miles.
Julie. It's amazing. I want to see you say that again.
It's about 1,800 miles. That's amazing.
It is
Humans
amazing.
get credit for the designs they've copied from nature.
This is weird. This part of it is weird. The idea that humans are stealing from God. They're plagiarizing God. Cars are just bears with wheels. They stole it. I don't get it. Did God design brain-eating amoebas or prisons? Yeah, why did God design all this flesh-eating bacteria? I know, it's not even new shit. This is the thing. You know, while they've been using the same arguments for a million years. Anthony Jeselnik. Yes, love Anthony Jeselnik. I've liked him for a long time. I've talked about, like, I'm a big fan of, there's a lot of comedy podcasts I like. I'm more into, like, improv than stand-up. Recently discovered that the Dropout thing that College Humor does, it's really great. Well, you see cars are exactly like the mighty cheetah in that both go fast and sometimes are yellow with spots. Yeah, God invented cannabis. Hey, Mimi Cruz. Well, I'm so glad that you feel free enough to comment without being afraid. Boo. Did that scare you? See? You're brave. So this video is 2 minutes and 47 seconds. And it's so far, it's just them saying that they think cars and butterflies and birds are cool. And they're so cool that they can't have possibly evolved via natural processes, even though we can demonstrate and explain why they do. And all that witnesses can do is say, like, yeah, but that's probably all fucking wrong. Doesn't it just make sense that a guy made it in his heaven lab? Who made him? Don't ask that. That's the one thing it doesn't apply to.
So who should get credit for the originals?
No matter where we look in the natural world, at birds, butterflies, fish,
Everything gives evidence of a creator.
Shut up. No,
Want more
not
information?
everything.
Go to JW.
Airplanes do not give evidence of a creator. I feel like I shouldn't have to even say that.
Look for the Publications tab and download the brochure, Was Life Created?
Great. Well, that's great. Well, that was pretty bad. That was about as bad as anything. Freaking Danny texted me while I'm doing this. Well, thank you so much for joining. We had like over 150 people watching the whole time, which is amazing. Thank you for hanging out. I can chat more in like 10 minutes. Please be on for a while. Marky, I'm so sorry to say, but no, it's not. It's over. So I'm gonna get cracking on the video. It'll be about the broadcast. I think it's pretty good. I think you can feel my fed-upness in the tone. Okay, all right. There's some good chats. I not only know this was made by a guy, I also know the guy. He's a friend of mine. He goes to a different high school. Whoever owns the patent. If God didn't patent his inventions, it's free for all. I agree. It's like the Mark Zuckerberg. If you were the inventor of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook. If God wanted to invent the airplane, he had millions of years before the fucking Wright brothers got there. Please do hit the thumbs up on the way out. We'll see if this stays up. It might be a special secret stream. It'll probably stay for the rest of the day. But thanks for hanging out, everybody. And I will end unceremoniously. Oh, wait. Let's see if that fucking trailer uploaded. Probably not, huh? Oh, it did. Does anybody want to see that? People who are here probably have seen it. But why not? Maybe it'll get me motivated to get out of this little slump I'm in. My horror novel is going okay. I'm a little torn on whether or not I want to stick with what I have outlined or not. It's true. Streaming is kind of just something Jehovah invented, in the sense that he invented talking. I should give credit to God. Okay. Well, here's a low-resolution shitty trailer I made for a book that doesn't exist yet, but will. Bye.
For more than 100 years, Jehovah's Witnesses have proclaimed the Bible's message that God's kingdom will rid the world of wickedness, restore the earth to paradise, and raise mankind to perfection. Sharing this truth, however, has often resulted in persecution from powerful institutions. But why has such a positive message elicited such a negative reaction?
What will you do in the face of Satan's attack?
What's the identity of Gog and Magog? When, why, and how will Gog attack Jehovah's people?
Being a publisher of the good news is a privilege that Satan seeks to attack.
We model ourselves after the first century Christian congregation in almost every way, Ben. Every way except for one: works of the Spirit. Some first century apostles could heal the sick, speak in tongues, expel demons. Yet this is an area we as Jehovah's people have neglected, and because we are not like false religions in Satan's world, when Jehovah's people encounter new information, we investigate.
Who do you think are Satan's primary targets? We are.